Good day, learners. This is Easy Engineering. For today's topic, we're going to talk about the sponges. When you think of sponges, you probably think about the sponge in your kitchen. Believe it or not, your kitchen sponge may actually have come from a sea sponge. Porifera or sponges are simple animals with no mouth, muscles, heart, or brain. No heart or brain? It seems unimaginable, right? They are sessile, meaning they can't move from a place to another like other animals can. A sponge is an animal that grows in one spot like most plants do. Very few animals eat sponges, so they can live for a very long time. Some types have been found to live over 200 years. So what do they look like? Their body's textures looks very much like the texture of your kitchen sponge. Both your kitchen sponge and a sea sponge get that texture from their pores. Pores are tiny holes in the sponge's body that let water, gases, and food in and out. Sponges are shaped like a tube, with the end stuck to an object like rocks. The open end is called the osculum, and the interior is the spongocoel. Fun fact, learners, did you know that our kitchen sponges are actually really designed from the sea sponges? It is not just a coincidence after all. Sponges have three body types: the asconoid, syconoid, and leuconoid. Asconoid and syconoid are vase-like, and leuconoid is shaped kind of like a rock or a lump. So what are sponges made of? Basically, they're called the simplest animals because sponges have only 4 types of cells. 2 noocytes function as the sponge's digestive system. Porocytes make up the pores. Flat epidermal cells line the outside of the sponge and form its skin. Amoebocytes carry out many of the sponge's functions, such as transport of nutrients, secretion of the spicules, and production of the gametes. And that's all of them. No cells for the brain or heart because they don't have any. Fun fact, learners, did you know that the tallest sponge can grow as tall as a fridge? And they can live to about 200 years too. Sponges are also considered multicellular colonies. That means they can be placed in a blender and the remaining living cells will just reform themselves into another sponge. If multiple sponges are blended together, each species will recombine independently. Each of the cells that make up its body is independent. That means even when a sponge eats, each cell works on its own to digest the food. So how do they reproduce? Sponges are able to reproduce sexually or asexually. In sexual reproduction, sperm is released from a sponge and floats through the water, where it is taken into a female sponge and internal fertilization occurs. That means even if they're far away from each other, they can still make their babies. Asexual reproduction sponges is through budding, where a small piece of sponge falls off of the main sponge and grows into a new one, also called a gemule. It is a part of a sponge that falls off when they feel that someone wanna harm or eat them, so that they still live even if their main body dies. In other words, they have tremendous regenerating powers. Now let's go to the lifestyle of sponges. Most of them live on the ocean floor. All sponges are carnivorous. Their favorite food are the crabs. When a crab tries to pass across a sponge, the sponge catches them with the help of Velcro-like structure called spicules. They also feed by filtering microorganisms from the water using their pores. They don't usually move and just stay still, but if they do, they can only move about 3 millimeters a day. Sponges also live in quite clear waters because if there are strong waves of water, their pores might get blocked and then they can't eat that away. For us humans, they are not really that useful because we cannot eat them like the fishes. They don't do us any harm either. They can be somehow useful in their own ways, and they're just there being the simplest animal. So learners, now we've learned some interesting stuff about the sponges. That is all for now. I hope you learned something today. Once again, this is Easy Engineering. Have a nice day.